Hey everybody. Close this up. It's a little bright there. That's better. Hey Mary. What's up?
Hey.
Hey.
Hi, Mary.
You had webinars back to back today?
Well, my day starts a little later than yours.
Well, later just
I
because
had one.
did.
I had an interview with someone who's local, and then just got off that and have a 2 o'clock and a 5 o'clock and an 8:30. Boom, boom, boom.
Oh my goodness. 8:30. What do you do at 8? What's at 8:30?
That's with Lisa.
Oh, okay. Because you guys stay up late. Well, you're not. You're
She's
2
up
hours behind, so she's with you in the same time zone.
Yeah, we're in the same time zone, and we're both night owls, and so yeah, we're gonna record some stuff together. So hey everybody.
Yeah, and you and I have a webinar at 5. You're 5 your time.
Yep.
Okay, honey, what's up?
Hey.
Hey.
So good to see you.
Let's do this. So Jenny and I have a webinar in exactly an hour over in our Build Your Income Streams group. So we better
That's what it is.
get to this. So guys, this is the July PAC webinar, and we're just taking questions. The last time we did the one in June, and it was the one that was probably, I think, the most attended of all. And we talked about where to start, and we took a bunch of questions. And so that's kind of what we are doing again, as far as just we boom, 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 take a bunch of questions. We had a form that you guys should have gotten, and we have a lot of questions that we've kind of filtered through, looked through. Definitely won't be able to get to all of them. There's no way, but we are going to get as many as possible.
We'll just have to do this again.
That's right.
Lots of questions actually is good.
Yeah, and guys, don't if we don't get your question, because there's no way we're going to get to all of them. These are a lot of the ones that you posted are perfect for the MST group.
That's true.
My Silent Team Facebook group. Don't feel like if we can't get to it today live, that you can't get your question answered. We will just repost it if we don't get to it today, and somebody will get. There's a lot of really smart, helpful people in that group that want to make sure you get your questions answered. Norma, we're on mute. You should be able to hear us. Everybody hear us okay?
We can't hear you.
Muted. Norma, you're muted. Yes, you're just a participant, okay, not a panelist. So you don't have to worry about being on camera.
Unless you want to be Norma, you want to come on camera with us? Cool. No, okay. All right. Darn it. Next time.
But you know what? Just a little bit of housekeeping. You guys all know how Zoom works, and you're using the chat, but the chat default, it goes when you're commenting in the chat, it usually just goes straight to the panelists, which would be Honey and Ryan and I. So if you guys can get some good conversation going, and some of you have some great comments, that would be great for everyone else to hear or see, whatever, read, whatever. So that little pull down, it says to all panelists, where you would type your message. You just click on that little down arrow, and you can change that to all panelists and attendees. And then everyone can see your comments, not just us. And then there's already a good number of you in here, and so questions, I know we're going to hit the questions that were submitted, but if you guys have any questions, want us to clarify or something, it's much easier for us to track so that it doesn't get lost if you put that in the Q&A, not in the chat, because the chat will probably it'll just get lost in there, and we wouldn't want that. So
yep. Guys, I'm posting, some of you may not have seen the webinar Honey and I did on was it Tuesday night?
Tuesday, yep.
Tuesday night in the MST group. I posted the link that you can find the replay at the top of that page real fast. If you are kind of new, this is your first Q4, maybe you just feel like you need a refresher. We're kicking off a 6-week live workshop that starts August the 11th. The link is in the chat there. And if you're a PAC member, which all of you are, because you're on this webinar, you get a discount. You should have gotten an email from Jim's support team probably yesterday, I think. Yep. With that discount, it drops it significantly. So cool. Let's jump into this, Honey. Jenny, any other thing before we jump right into questions?
No.
Let's do it.
Let's get the questions.
All right, let's see if I can do kind of keep two. I'm not on my big. I should have maybe went in my office, but we got 2 webinars and another one tonight. Okay, Ahmed, I have product that's not listed before on Amazon. How do I list and how do I show the customers this product?
Second.
I'll go. I mean, basically, Ahmed, if if you have the proven Amazon course in the AMZ 101, Amazon 101 course, there's step-by-step videos on how to list products. But essentially, you could, one of the easiest ways is to go into Seller Central, click on inventory, add a product, find the product that you're wanting to list, if it already exists on Amazon, and just essentially tell Amazon how many you have, and it goes through the process of shipping it to FBA. If you're creating a brand new listing, it's a different animal. You just would do a UPC code or a GTIN exemption. Anything different there?
Yeah. Do we have, I'm sure, I know there's stuff in PAC for that, but I don't know exactly where for creating new listings where people could go to look for how to do that.
Yeah, we could find that for sure. I mean, that's something that you could also post in the MST group and it points in the right direction.
I mean, I know that the steps are there. I just don't know where.
Yeah, I don't know if they're buried in the other courses. I know in the bundling course that Lisa and I did, which is in PAC, there's one of the modules that talks about that. So what's beautiful about how PAC is organized is you can go right in there and you can go straight to that video that's just on that topic. So I know it's there. I'm sure it's other places as well. I know it's somewhere in the private label stuff as, content. Yeah, so that there's some good videos on that. I don't know where else it would be though.
Guys, if you did not post a question beforehand, it's okay. Feel free to go ahead and post in the Q&A a question, because if we see it like we get a bunch of people that ask this and it's also in the form, then that'll give us an idea like, hey, we need to really tackle that in the next hour. Okay, honey, would you questions about the whole address thing? What are you planning on? What's your initial thoughts on Amazon September 1st? Is that right? Requiring our whatever address we have on our Amazon seller profile will be made possible. A customer could see that.
Yes. So I have heard a lot of different things on this. Here are just thoughts for you to decide for your business. Some people are saying, you know what, I don't mind. I've sold stuff merchant fulfilled for years or on eBay for years, and I'm really not worried that somebody's going to know my address because I've been doing this and I never had an issue with it. So some people are fine with it, not a big deal. Some people that are more concerned about it, because what it's going to do, I believe, it's going to show your business name. So if you are just an individual, it's going to have your name and then your store name and then your address. So some people have chosen to get like a PO box, or what's the other one called,
Just
Jenny?
Get a virtual
one, yes. But here's
mailbox.
the thing. If you do that, it's recommended that every single thing on your account needs to match. So that means you're going to need to get like, your business banking stuff is going to need to have that address, like any of those official things. Now, as far as dealing with returns, you can literally have your returns go anywhere. So don't worry about that. But anything on your account that you have, anything that is business related, will need to all be switched to that before you switch it and take care of that on Amazon, just to make sure that'll help protect you if there are IP or suspension or other kind of issues that come up. You do want all of your information to match. So whatever you choose to do, make sure all your information matches. You can leave it, you can change it to a PO box or virtual or whatever, but you need to make sure that all your information matches. So, yeah.
Yep. And that's straight from Scott Morgolius, who's an Amazon expert, like suspension expert, deals with IP claims and all that type of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a PAC class for Etsy sellers? No, but Jenny's working on one, right?
That's going to be for Hallie.
I'll get Hallie on that.
Yeah.
There is not, but that's actually a good suggestion.
Yeah.
Proven Etsy course.
Chris.
It's PEC. It's not going to be PAC.
That wouldn't be a peck. The chicken is the mascot.
Yeah. Proven Etsy course.
Oh my goodness, that's hilarious. There is not currently, but that would be an option. I'm sure we could find somebody. If there's enough interest for that, guys, let us know. Post it. If that's something you really want to do, post in MST saying we need an Etsy course, and I'm sure we can find somebody that could.
Well, and also you'll get more momentum. So if people are like, yes, that will be more likely to get it done. So that's a great place to share that idea.
All right, this is a good question for Jenny and I, possibly. Julie wants to know, what is the secret in finding good distributors and manufacturers with not super high prices, and how to convince a manufacturer to work with you? Well, Jenny and I teach in the proven private label course, which is inside PAC, to start domestically, because you just now, yeah, the prices are going to be higher, but you don't have to order thousands of units. If you are dealing with you want to go like straight to overseas manufacturer, you don't really need to convince them. They're pretty much like, give us money, we'll give you product. They don't really care too much. So you don't have to convince them for sure. Though you're going to get lower prices if you order more. But that's why we teach in the PPL course to start with what we actually, the whole boil it down, the private label course, start use wholesale suppliers as your private label supplier, because then you can go to them and order like maybe a case and test it out. If you haven't, you've probably seen a theme throughout this whole PAC course and this whole community. It's inch deep, mile wide, and that same philosophy applies to private label. And the way to do that is to start very small. And if you want to do overseas, AliExpress is an option because you can order just a few, even just one. You wouldn't want to test just one, but you can order. The thing is a small amount, low risk.
Like 20 or 10, 15.
50, no, whatever is low for you, really, honestly. Okay, good question for Honey. Lola asks, I have $500 and ready to build my Amazon business. Where should I start with this amount of money?
I would start with something that, if you're looking for a product, I mean, if you have that for a product, then look for low cost items. Please don't go buy like, you know, 2 things that cost $250 and try to flip them. You know, you're gonna have better success, in my experience, and from people that I've talked to that have done this, if you buy a lot of things that cost less, because you have less risk. So if you're talking about just getting product, you know, try to find like the items that are, you know, $5, $10, even $1. I did a lot of dollar store, party store, just really inexpensive items. They have a greater return on your investment. So there was a lot higher ROI that I could flip it and grow that money a lot faster that way. I'm not saying you can't buy the bigger things, but you have way less risk. So if you make some bad purchases while you're trying to figure this out, man, I shouldn't have bought that many, or this thing didn't sell as great as I thought it would sell. It's not a big deal if you only spent $3, $4, you know, $5, even $10. It's way less of a big deal if that was a bad purchase than if you spent $200 or $100 on it, and then all of a sudden you're stuck with this thing that doesn't sell, or it's a dud, or you're restricted or whatever. So yeah, I would say start inch deep, mile wide, like Ryan said. You know, try to get as much as you can with that product. You know, go for, you don't need to spend all of that on all of the fancy tools and all the everything out there. Start just slim with what you have. You know, if you're looking at shipping things, look for the boxes that you get your own product that gets shipped to you from Amazon or wherever, and you reuse those boxes, reuse the packing stuff if you need to. Use what you can, and you'll be able to grow your business a lot faster with less money, because we only started with a few $100s. That's what we did. So
what are your best suggestions to prepare for Q4? I do a combination of RA and wholesale. I'm not sure if the stores will be closed again. What are your predictions for what people are going to want to find? You know the future, don't you, honey?
No. We will be talking about this in the upcoming, the Q4 groups, the jumpstart thing, the quick start that we're doing. But you do not need to go and look for the hottest item at all. Please don't do that. You're gonna have a lot more competition, same kind of thing, where you're just hoping for the best. You're hoping that you can sell it. You're hoping that it gets there in time. I know myself that my preparations for Q4, I'm not planning on, I'm understanding that there may be, like we've had sourcing lately, you might be going to stores or sites and all of a sudden they're out. They don't have enough of the stuff that you want to resend in. So I'm looking for more items to sell, even if I sell less of more things, just to help prepare for that. So I don't know if that answers that enough or not. Do you guys have any other thoughts?
I'm furiously answering questions in the Q&A while you're,
okay.
you're going. So basically Q4, I think it's going to be a huge Q4 this year.
Absolutely.
As far as preparing now, I honestly, I'd say jump into the quick start program that Honey and I are going to do. It's going to be a crash course to get you prepared. So even if you just started like right now, we're going to basically take you through. I mean, it's a lot of this. You guys are all PAC members, so somebody just asked, is it going to be a lot of the same content that's in Amazon 101? Yes, some of it's going to be Amazon 101 content. Some of it's going to, we're going to focus a ton on replens though, and that's not in Amazon 101. So, but it's going to be about you taking action. It's almost think of it as like an accountability group. So if you feel like that's something that'll help you out, move forward, jump in. If not, if you're a go-getter, can do this on your own, don't need somebody to kind of help you go through, then you may not need to do that. Dan wants to know how to find the best wholesalers, how and where. Probably, Jenny, our super secret method, right? That we talk about in the private label group.
How to find them? Yeah,
how to
sorry, I
find
was looking at
wholesalers.
questions too.
No, it's good. Secret, Dan, is Google.
Absolutely.
Honestly, and you guys also have access to the proven wholesale sourcing
That's
course.
an amazing course. It's
And
really
there's
good.
tons. So Jenny and I teach wholesale inside the private label group, looking for wholesale sources. But Teresa's course, Proven Wholesale Sourcing, I just looked at it literally this morning
Really good.
for my VAs, and she has a huge, like module 3 or 2 or 3 has a huge list of these little videos, LinkedIn, Etsy, like out of the box type of places to find wholesale sites. And since you guys are in PAC, you have that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Robert, we could probably, this is probably more of a philosophical thing, but we could talk this whole webinar about this, but why is it so hard for me to make money online? I'd say mindset, one. Honey, Jenny, what do you think?
I think I would agree. Mindset and training. So, okay. So I just did a little class on kind of around mindset. And one of the things that we talked about was the difference between self-doubt and imposter syndrome. And so I think this applies because it has to do with mindset. So if you're not thinking, if there's some self-doubt, like, is it a skill problem? That's what happened. That's what will give you self-doubt. If you need more skills to get better, you need training to learn, you need the tools to be able to do something that impacts your doubt. And imposter syndrome is more about identity and really digging down into who it's an attack on who you are. So I would look at, is it, what are you afraid of? Is it fear that's holding you back? What's your mindset in that? If it's fear, then you need to deal with that. But can you get the tools? Can you get the training to get you over that? So this is totally possible, guys. There are thousands and thousands of people. You've seen them in the Facebook group. You've seen people share their successes. They've put the work in, right? But that you have access to all the tools you need to be able to do this. So are you able to focus in, bolt it down, start with, the first thing, whatever that is, get the training that you need so that you're not bound by that doubt. I don't know if I can do this. You can do this. You have encouragement. You have a team around you in the Facebook group. You can totally do this, but you need to put the work in to get the training and to follow the training along and ask questions, and don't be afraid to be new. Don't think you have to have it all together before you can even take a step. Just focus in, start with the very beginning. This is a great time to be getting in on Amazon because we're not into Q4 yet. It's seriously right around the corner. Online sales growth has skyrocketed this year. Somebody was asking, I was going to answer, but I didn't get to it, about COVID. There are more sellers. I read early on that the number of buyers, people moving online has grown 50 to 70%. And that was in April. That's not going to change. People are still, more people are out shopping or whatever, but more people are online than ever before. And that's just who knows what's going to happen in the future, but we do have the internet. And so now is an amazing time to really focus in and bolt down. Take the course that Ryan and Honey are doing to get started and get prepared for Q4. So you're in a really good position to, don't think you have to do it all right now. Just focus in on one thing and bolt that down, and then get that momentum going automatically. And then you can move on to the next thing.
Yep. I was totally going to say that sometimes it's, you feel like you can't do well, exact same things that Jenny's saying for those exact reasons. But sometimes I think, I know myself, I know I'm an overthinker. And I think there's some things that that's good for, but
Mhm.
sometimes I just think I have to be able to do this perfectly before I do anything. I have to know every single piece of information and have this flawless setup before I start. Sometimes you just need to jump in, step your foot in, have, like Jenny was talking about, you have, you know, the group that you can go in and ask questions. You have a support system, you have training available to you. So if you do get stuck, it's okay. All of us have messed up at some point, something along the way. So going into it knowing that it's okay if you don't know every single thing. It's okay if you don't do it flawlessly the first time. Sometimes you just need to jump in and just do something, and that will get the ball rolling where you can see some of the progress, some of the things that are working, and you keep going with those.
Mhm.
Hey, when will the Q4 group start this year? What's the best way to prepare knowledge-wise and monetarily to have the best Q4 this year? So it's going to start probably very end of September, early October. Best way to prepare is go through the PAC course and start taking action, get those first shipments in, get the confidence, learn how to read a keep a graph, just start your business so you're not starting then. If you feel like you need help, join that quick start program that Honey and I are going to start on August the 11th. What else? Anything else you'd say on that, Honey, on preparing knowledge-wise and monetarily? Because monetarily, they might be asking, ooh, do I need to go out and, you know, start spending money now, buying things up?
If you're talking about buying stuff now, if you buy stuff now, please send it in now. Unless you are, you know, if you have private label or whatever, there may be other things that you'd be doing and planning a little more ahead for that. But if you're just doing arbitrage, you don't need to buy it and hold on to it. You can start buying stuff and making that money work for you. Send your stuff in, let it sell, get back more money so you can buy more stuff before Q4. You don't have to let your stuff just sit.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. How to find, I know this is could be a long answer, but try to make it short. How to find products for RA?
Just go in a store, start reverse sourcing. There's all kinds of stuff in PAC about that at this point. Reverse sourcing, you know, if you're in a store, pick an aisle. I could give you a ton of ideas of try this, but every person's going to have a different spot that just works for them. Go to an area that, you know, if you are comfortable in a store, like for me, it makes sense for me to go to the grocery area, buy a lot of stuff for food for my kids, the kitchen, the home and kitchen area. That works for me. I have a really good friend who has done really well going into the sporting goods section because all her kids are involved in sports. So she knows, she's familiar. It's easier for her to look at a shelf and say, wow, this stuff looks really cheap, or I know what the price of these types of things are. So if I'm looking at my seller app, I'm going to see this is a lot more than I'm used to seeing this thing for. So those are just suggestions, but really just pick somewhere, go start reverse sourcing and see what's profitable.
Okay. What about PPC ads on arbitrage items? Do you do that, Honey? I know Kate says she does.
I do. Just 5-cent ads on everything. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. I think the question was, if multiple people are on the same listing and I'm using PPC, how do I get the sale? Your ad only runs when you have the buy box. So you're not going to be paying for other people to get the sale. So I do have just really inexpensive ads, and I've sold a ton of stuff just by that little bit of investment. You know, my ACOS is really low. I mean, it's single digits. It's really low. It's not costing me a lot extra, but I've made a lot of extra sales just from kind of, hey, I'm over here. Come look at my listing. So you're just grabbing people's extra attention that are already looking around for that kind of stuff. Yes, 5-cent ads is what I do, Lynn.
Okay. Honey, what are cheaper ways to do online arbitrage without spending so much in the early days?
Probably going to be the same for anything you do. You know, just looking for making sure you're always doing stuff that gets you free shipping, whatever their free shipping threshold is. Maybe, you know, some sites it's like $25, some sites it's $100, but make sure you're doing that because those shipping costs will add up. Signing up for the cashback things like the Rakuten or however you say that, all of those extra things that you're getting that little bonus back, that can help. And realizing you don't have to buy the big, huge, fancy, whatever. It can be more inexpensive items. You can buy cases of stuff. If it sells fast enough, you can buy cases of stuff from Dollar Tree even and do that kind of stuff. So you don't have to buy the big, expensive, fancy things, but make sure you're getting free shipping. That'll add up really fast.
How do you find a private labeled product in the US? Do the manufacturers customize and make your unique design? They can. So the way to find a private label product in the US is go through the private label course that Jenny and I have inside PAC. It's called Proven Private Label 3.0. But essentially, to boil it down with 30 seconds, you find what you're looking, find a profitable product. We have a 5-step test in there, but then use Google, look for wholesalers. You can also use what we just said with Teresa Rose's course, the wholesale course, to find those wholesalers. But essentially, the reason for that is you're able to start very small. Nothing wrong with sourcing overseas. It's just when I got started with private label, it was going to be like 1,000 units on something that was going to be $10 each, a 10 grand investment for something I wasn't even sure it was going to sell. A little too much for me. So I went to a wholesaler and was able to do that. And so that's the kind of the basis of that program. So find a wholesaler that'll do it. You can also work with promotional companies. I think you guys have access to the promotional company sourcing course. Proven, I don't know what's it called. There's
I don't know, but even if you're in the mentoring group for the private label, you have access to that.
But think of like companies like Vistaprint or all these other promotional companies. You can use those as private label suppliers, test an idea. But yeah, you could have, most of the time when we talk about the proven private label method, it's not going to a company and saying, hey, will you take this mug and just recreate it, make it different. That's a whole different process, way more expensive to have them do a mold and everything like that. That's not what we're talking about. You certainly can do that, but that's not the easy way, in my opinion. All right, can arbitrage and wholesale be run together on the same Amazon account? Yes. Is it necessary to start this business with a person's name or a business name? Either. Anything else on that, honey, that you would?
No, I mean, some people now, if you don't want your name out there, I mean, now with the new setting, that would be public. So if you have an issue with that, then make sure it's under your business name, but really either is absolutely fine.
Okay. Megan asked about private labeling a health supplement. How do you do that? Honestly, Megan, I've never done that, but the people I do know that have done that, health supplements you're going to be able to find a company that does that already. They're familiar with the term private label. So just type in like Google private label supplements, because if I owned a company that I make it, I don't have a problem, taking what I'm making for somebody else and putting it in a different label and doing it for you. They do that all the time. So you might have a very high minimum for that. So be very careful. Health supplements are extremely, extremely competitive. So would not be a place to start if you are brand new, unless you just have a lot of money to throw at it, but that's not what most of our folks who we're teaching do have. We're talking about,
or if you have an audience, if you already have an audience for that or something, there's probably exceptions to that rule, but generally speaking, I agree that we wouldn't, that's not the easiest place to start.
Okay. About a legendary replen lead. And this is just applied to any leads, any replens, honey. If buying replens, should I test with purchasing 3 or 4 or how many?
Yeah. I'm a cautious buyer. So I would say, yeah, on pretty much anything I'm testing. I'm going to buy, maybe 3 or 5 of them, see how it sells. I'm going to still look at the Keepograph, making sure that I feel like this is a good one. I'm confident in getting this. But test small. When it flies out the door and it sells like the second it gets there, then okay, wait a minute, I need to buy more next time and get a better idea. But I'm just one that you're going to have a lot lower risk if you do that. So if you're more comfortable and you've been doing this a long time, you may be fine to buy a little bit more than that, but I'm always a cautious tester. That's just me.
We got a lot of questions, honey, about ungating. Where can they learn how to get ungated? I know probably the first thing to say is just to go ahead and try to do the auto approval, but
yes,
suggest if somebody's done that and they need to go and order 10 from somewhere.
Yep, that's really all it is. You do not need to use a service for this stuff. You can ask in the group, but really just follow the directions for what Amazon is asking for. You don't need a letter and a invoice. You only need either or. So most people go for getting the invoice. They are looking for a wholesaler or a distributor. They are not looking for retail receipts. So don't go to Walmart or Target or wherever and think that you're going to be able to buy 10 and get ungated. That doesn't work that way. But you can Google for a wholesaler for different things. There are some that are actually mentioned in the MST group, so you can probably just look for it in there and they'll tell you here's some sites that people have had success using that.
Okay. So Sherry asked a question about, I don't have a smartphone. Is there a way to research products in stores without a smartphone And then she says, maybe take pictures and come home and look them up online. So that you're right, Sherry, that is the answer.
That's how I used to do it, old school.
You call James, right? Hey, is this?
Yeah, I would call James. I didn't have a
selling
smartphone.
well?
I'd be like, can you look this up? Yep.
Yeah, but
We
so
had dial-up,
talk about
too.
the method where, because Jimmy's replan information's inside the pack, and he talks about like standing in an aisle for 4 hours. Like, well, some people don't want to do that. They can't do that for whatever reason. You actually can take pictures and go home and do the research.
Yeah, I would probably look at doing online arbitrage if you're not having
If you don't have a
as well.
smartphone, it would be
Yeah.
a whole lot easier doing online. And you can on some of the sites, you can do online arbitrage and buy things and then just pick up in store. So there may be some things that maybe you can't actually buy online, but you could just go to the store and pick it up. So that would be an option too. So you can get some of those things that are not available online, but that way you don't have to worry about it, because if you don't have a smartphone, it's going to be really challenging to do RA consistently.
Charles asked, how do I get started? I bought the PAC course a while back, but have not gotten going yet. Where do I even begin?
Amazon 101. That's what I would suggest.
Yeah.
I mean, unless you're a person that wants like some of that extra hand holding, where do I, I need somebody to kind of help walk me through this. If you're using PAC, then Amazon 101 is an excellent place to start. It just shows you, here's how this works. Here's how all this stuff happens and how I send stuff in, whatever. If you need a little bit more hand holding, like Ryan mentioned earlier, the quick start group that we have for pre-Q4, that would be perfect, because that way you're going to be able to have all the questions and all the answers right there. Similar kind of thing that will walk you through, here's how I get all this going. So
I know
many questions.
we could talk forever about Keepa, honey, and that's the key for
Yes.
making good
Yes.
buying decisions. But and maybe we might have to, I don't know, maybe you want to share your screen. We only got 30 minutes left here. Maybe one example potentially, the one we did in the webinar the other night, possibly. But a question from Xavier is there any information where I can be guided to choose when a product has or not have a good sales rank? In other words, I know the lower the BSR, the better. But when is it good to say that's a great sales rank? And then what are you going to check when you're choosing a product using Keepa? Is there like a cheat sheet?
Okay, hold on. Okay, first of all, I will say that I don't really pay much attention, if any, to BSR anymore, to sales rank. And I say that, not that I've made a lot of bad purchases using that. So that's just
Can we?
from
Can we qualify that for just a second? Because what you're talking about is RA, OA when you're getting
Yes.
onto another listing. You're not
Yes,
really paying
correct.
attention to BSR. But
Yes.
sometimes that's an indicator to help look at market space. So we use that with KDP. We don't really use it with private label, but just as an indicator for that, we look at the average overall to give us a picture of the market space. But when you're talking about individual items, individual
Yes.
listings looking to get on that listing, you don't look at the BSR.
Correct. Yes. Good clarification. Yes. I'm not saying it's not serves no purpose, but for RA and OA, and everything is running super slow. I'm not trying to. Okay, hold on.
You're gonna share one?
I'm trying here. If I can
Cool.
get it to work, it's like
Cool.
spinning and spinning. Yeah, just to give what did I use yesterday? Just type in whatever. I guess it doesn't really matter. Oh my goodness. It's like super slow motion.
I can pull it up if you want me to. I'm just answering some questions.
If you just pull up anything and I can go through. Do you have Keepa set up on your
I think I have on the other browser. Let me
I have it.
Hold on.
pull up.
Mine's just not. Mine's like spinning and spinning, and it doesn't ever do this. I think I might.
You have it, Ryan? Because I have it if you don't.
Go for it if you got it.
1 second.
I get
Okay,
it.
give me a product. I just need to get a product and then
I'm gonna make sure you can share your screen too.
that's a good idea too.
So
How
So
about
the ones that Honey and I did the other night was with sugar-free
Yeah,
Jello.
I've got one.
sugar-free
fine.
what?
Sugar-free Jello cheesecake.
Ooh, yum.
I think mine's gonna work now that I said it won't work.
You got it? You want me to do it?
Okay, I have it. Let me see if it'll let me. share screen or not. Can I share screen? Okay, let me see. Hold on. Okay. Can you guys see it?
Not yet.
Started. Not yet.
Okay.
There we go.
There it is.
Okay. Awesome. Okay. Okay, now what was the question? I was trying so hard to find this and get
Basically,
this.
he was asking about is there like a cheat sheet for Keepo? So maybe just go like
Okay, so a
very
couple things to
high-level
look for.
overview of what somebody would check.
Okay, so just very, very quick, tiny little overview. There's so much about Keepa, but this right here. So, oh my goodness, I need to quit moving that around. So what you're going to look for, the green lines that are going up and down like this. I don't know if you guys can see where I'm at or not, but those, anytime it's a sharp drop is going to be a sale. And then this line right here, this blue line, and actually up here at this orange, wait, that's pink line. No, it's an orange line. Up here at the top, these little, the triangles, those are the FBA sellers. So you're going to look down here and see this other line and think, oh my goodness, people are selling this for $5. This actually is like a pack of Pringles, by the way, or multiple packs of Pringles. But you're going to think it's selling for this, but you have FBA sellers up here, which a lot of people are looking for FBA sellers. You can also get a better idea of what things are actually selling for when you hover over the buy box. But this is the price that it's selling for. And then down here, this is how many sales. So when I see a number that just shows me a BSR, when I'm doing arbitrage, I'm just going to see a number of this some point in time. Now there may be other times, if you look further back in the history, that it's going to be a totally different number. It sold not as well further back here, or some other point in time back here definitely was not selling well. So there's things like that that you can look at. That's why, to me, the rank is not nearly as important, because you might have something that has a really high rank only because nobody's been in stock for 3 months on it or something else. So that's going to give you a different view than if you look at this and say, wow, this sells all the time. This is a lot of green drops. This is a whole lot of sales for this. And down here, you can also look at, this is important. This is something I look at with everything. I look at the sales, see how consistent the sales are. The pricing is consistent, or is it just dropping out all the time? You know, is Amazon selling this for $2 every few weeks? And then I also look down here at the seller count. If it is moving up and down, if it's moving down, that's an indicator that most likely sellers are selling out of their product. So it is actually a moving product. I will recommend, if you are looking and using Keepa now, especially with the season we've been in, go back longer than 3 months, because you're going to get a different picture. A lot of stuff has run out of stock, or the prices have been inflated briefly because there's very few sellers, or whatever the situation is. Look a little further back to see what it was selling at back in March or February, or seasonal items. You want to look back further anyway and see, okay, how did this sell last Christmas or last Thanksgiving or last fall or whatever. If you're selling beach towels, they're probably not going to have as good of a rank in December as they are in May and June. So it's a very skimmed overview, but those are things I look for instead of the rank.
Good.
A year view can also give you a point of view for holiday or seasonal items as well.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Anything else, or I'm stop sharing?
That's good. Let's see here. We got, what are the tax documents required to sell on Amazon, and how do you get them? Also, do newly created listings sell? So tax documents.
I don't know what they require now, if it's anything different than I signed up for years ago. We chose, and you do not have to do this, we chose to get an LLC, an EIN, like we did the whole everything, because we wanted to be official. I don't know if you guys have any other thoughts or suggestions. I know they do things a little bit differently when they're setting up new accounts, but there you go. Yes, get one that's familiar with e-commerce.
Does Amazon accept receipts from online arbitrage?
Not for ungating purposes, but if you come across the issue with, you know, IP claim or certain other things, authenticity, whatever, if you're getting it from a legitimate source, then most often, yes, that should be acceptable.
Okay. I'm looking at replens for starters, but having difficulty finding someone who will sell me 10 items without being a wholesale company. In other words, selling to a person so that I can get cleared by Amazon. Any suggestions?
Sounds like you're looking to get ungated. Am I reading that right? And if that's the case, you can't,
That's right.
you need to go to a wholesale company to do that. You can't just do an online purchase for ungating, unless I misunderstood that.
Dan's asking about finding larger margin replens. His margins are getting eaten up by shipping and packaging supplies.
Look for bundles, multi-packs. You're going to find, most often I find better margins that way.
Okay. If there's a listing for a multi-pack, but I can only find single items of the same product, can I put the individual item into a bag and jump on that listing? Or does it have to be packaged the exact same way as what's on the listing?
You want to sell exactly as the listing says. So, I mean, if it says it's a pack of 2 and yours is a pack of 2, then that's fine. You know, maybe it's, I don't know, packaged sideways or up and down or back and forth or whatever, but it needs to be the exact same thing as whatever's on the listing. So if, say, I don't know, Pillsbury has like a double pack of something that is manufactured with the 2 bags or 2 packs all together in one box, and all you're finding is the separate ones, don't send that in. Make sure it's the exact same thing. I say that mostly for you're going to keep your nose clean and not get in trouble with IP claims or counterfeits or any of that stuff if you make sure that's the exact same thing. Also, in my experience, try to think of yourself as the buyer for these things. Sometimes we try to cut corners and think, oh, this will be easy, and you know what, it's close enough, it's fine. But as a buyer, when you're getting online to buy something, when you're on Amazon, you're like, I want this to be like nice and new and exactly the thing that I ordered. So keep that in mind as a seller, that you want your buyers to be happy and they should get exactly what they're paying for.
I forget now. Do multi-packs have a different UPC than the individual items?
I believe they do.
I think
yes.
they do.
But
yeah.
if you're reverse sourcing, that's kind of hard to always note. Or if it's because you could make a bundle with 2 or 3 things and it would technically be a bundle. But if it's a multi-pack.
You can't have the same things though in a bundle like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Gotcha. Sorry.
But it's just not, you list it as a bundle because the multi-pack is by the actual manufacturer packaging it together. So.
Okay, honey, talk about, we're getting questions about taxes. Somebody's in a 15% tax area and going to Walmart. How do you recoup that cost? We'll talk about how you get the little card at Walmart and can buy tax-free.
Yeah, so we have, and each state's going to be a little bit different on this, on what they require. So if you're like trying to go do this at Walmart, I'm just going to tell you, go to your Walmart, see what they need, your customer service desk. But we just took the forms that we have from our state for our, to be able to get the tax exemption stuff. We took our tax forms. I think they actually, when we signed up for, this was years ago, so I can't guarantee everything will be exactly the same, but we just took like our business information, our EIN, our state tax information. We took that to the customer service desk at Walmart, and they give you a little card that you can use every time you take that in. Different states are going to have slightly different forms. So just see what they require and bring that with you. Now, Walmart is an easy one. There's a couple different stores that I go to that'll have like a special number or a card. Big Lots has given us a number. There's certain things you can do different places. Sometimes they'll make you fill out a form every time you go. If I go to Meijer or Dollar Tree, they make me fill out a little form every time I go. Honestly, I keep copies of those that just don't have like the signed and dated or whatever at the bottom. I keep copies of those with me when I'm doing RA sourcing, so it makes my time go easier because I know what they expect. But yeah, that will cut a tremendous amount off of your upfront cost. If you're already going to pay it, you can use that as a tax write-off. Talk to your tax professional for the exact details of that stuff. But it is a lot better if you're paying huge amounts of sales tax when you're buying. Just you don't have to pay that. You can actually get the reseller, because you're a reseller, you can not have to pay that up front, save you some money. And there's a lot of OA sites that will do that as well. Not all of them, but most of them.
Honey, talk about the new IPI restrictions and all that stuff and advice for getting that under the right number.
Okay, so there's a handful of things. that you can do for this, make sure you're taking care of your stranded inventory, that your stuff is selling fast. So if you need to get in and reprice, mark a bunch of stuff down, get it out, that's fine. If you have stuff that's stranded, get it out of there. There's some steps like that you can do. You know, I think somebody was talking about putting a sale on it or whatever if you need to. If you don't have ads, maybe the 5-cent ads would help. Some of those different things to get your stuff moving, making sure that you go into your account and hide recommendations will help with some of that as well. If you can't get it up enough, and some people are really worried about this, let me give you just a little tip. Go to, in Seller Central, go to manage inventory and then manage your FBA shipments. I think that's what it is. And then all the way at the bottom, you're going to see like your storage limits. And if you click on that, it will show you what the next, what your what your storage is going to be for the next quarter coming up. So most people I've talked to are looking at that, and it is way more than what you're using most likely now, probably more than you've used in Q4's past. There's a lot, you're still going to have a lot of storage. So yes, ideally you want to get that number up, but if for some reason you cannot within the next, I think we have about 2 weeks left, then look at that and realize, don't freak out, do the best you can, inch deep, mile wide. So, you know, don't send in like 100 of one thing. If you have really limited storage, spread it out so you have more stuff. Yes, ideally you do want to get it up, but they are actually going to give you a lot of storage this year if you cannot. Something else I was going to say about that, I don't remember right now. I don't know. If I think about it, I'll throw it out there.
What's the strategy for scaling RA products that sell well?
As far as like start with 3 or 5 and then go up to whatever.
Yeah, I feel like you start to run out. You go to the store and like, man, I need to buy 25 and they only have 12 every time I go.
If you're going to do that, you know, look online, see if you have other people that can help you source different places. Right now, you're going to probably see more of that than you would have in the past, just because some stuff is a little more scarce to find. As far as like what to send in a little at a time, look at your sales, keep a, you know, hey, this stuff sold, I sold this many in a day, or I sold this many in a week or whatever. And that gives you a better idea moving forward of what you need to sell next time. I have had some things though, and I still say I'm a cautious seller in some of these things, because I have had some that I'm like, okay, we sent in 5 to test, they sold really fast. We sent in 10, they sold really fast. We went and found more, like, oh my goodness, we just found a whole bunch of these at the store. We grabbed like 30 of them and we sent them in, and apparently everyone else found the 30 of them too. So I still say, you know, proceed with caution, but if your stuff is just flying out and it's selling really fast, then in general, most circumstances, just keep sending in what your sales are showing that it's selling.
Okay, I've built a fairly stable Amazon business doing retail arbitrage, been at it for about 2 years. Now trying to add wholesale into my model. Do you think this is the route I should take? Possibly. Yeah, if you're starting to outscale RA and you kind of done everything you can do there, then wholesale is a great way to add on. If so, what's the best way to begin finding profitable inventory buying wholesale? I would totally use the proven wholesale course that's in PAC. Or do you think I should be seeking to add some other component instead of wholesale next in order to find profitable inventory and expand and grow my business? Totally. I mean, it really depends what you're trying to accomplish, what you want. I mean, wholesale is different than RA and OA. You can still scale RA and OA. We have people in this community that do hundreds of thousands of dollars in RA and OA. So if you're not there yet, then you probably still have plenty of room to scale with that model. But wholesale is nice because it's instead of buying 10 or 12, you can buy pallets, and as long as you have something that you want to sell that much of. Is this being recorded? Yes. Jenny, go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say, if you do go into wholesale, I totally agree with Ryan that take Teresa's course, the proven wholesale course, and that sets you up well for private label if you want to go into that. And so building that relationship with wholesale companies can be extremely valuable for you in the future. And I think it's a great next step, but there's lots of options. Pick and choose and then just go for it and bolt it down.
Can non-breakable plates, bowls be boxed without stretch wrap or a bag for FBA? I would definitely put them in some type of, if it was a plate or a bowl, non-breakable, I
Think
probably
about
still use bubble wrap for that.
Warehouses are filthy.
Then put them in a
Yeah.
bag.
You'd
Yeah.
use bubble wrap for a non-breakable?
Unless you, I mean, every seller's different. Imagine like melamine plates we used to sell a lot of. We'd still put like
Yeah.
something in between
Or
them.
Cardboard,
chipped.
even cardboard.
Yeah, so they're not touching each other. They weren't like completely bubble wrap the whole thing, but then all that went inside a poly bag. You could just stretch wrap the outside of it though, as long as it was really good.
Think about the customer, like like what Honey was saying, put yourself in their shoes. Cause sometimes we order stuff and we get a box and the item's just thrown in the box and there's like nothing else there protecting it. And it's like, okay, it's not super impressive to me. I mean, it's Amazon. And so, I don't really complain about that, but just think about, if you were the customer, how would you like to receive those items?
Mm-hmm. Steve's good question about outsourcing. The best recommendations for using VAs to offload mundane tasks. Well, we're getting ready to launch a whole outsourcing course that Honey and Jimmy and I did. And so we'll talk a lot about that, Steve, but essentially make a list of everything you want to offload and then just go find a VA to do that. I mean, you can email me if you need to. I can help you with finding a VA, but essentially Upwork, onlinejobs.ph. What else? Let's see. Ask somebody else who has a VA, because a lot of times VAs know each other and like, hey, I know we could talk about this forever, but they know a lot of other people that would love to have a job like that. So referrals are big. Just the same way, if I was looking for a job, I might call you, Steve, and say, hey, who do you know that's looking for something with somebody with my skills? They do the same thing there in the Philippines. And it doesn't have to be the Philippines. It could be folks here in the US that need virtual assistant jobs. But I have a lot of experience working with folks in the Philippines. They're good. It's a win. They're inexpensive compared to an American worker, and that's still a really good wage for them. So, but feel free to email me, ryan@ryanrieger.com, if you have more questions about that. Dwight's asking about cash flow issues. Honey, do you have issues with cash flow? Or somebody else also asked about what's a good rule of thumb on how much to put back into, how much to keep, how much to put back into the business. I know it's different for every person depending on how fast they're wanting to grow. But if somebody's dealing with cash flow, any suggestions there?
Be patient. I don't know.
What about going into like using POD and kind of getting into, adding some other strategies that maybe don't include
that you need that
out of pocket costs?
Mm-hmm.
Consignment, partnering with someone else that you can help with that kind of stuff. Finding some other things would be ideal, or going back and seeing what do I have that I can sell out of my own home, Facebook Marketplace, whatever. Those tend to be the things. I don't personally recommend people go and buy, getting all of the loans. There's a lot of loans that are high interest loans. And so proceed with caution if you do that. I don't really recommend that to people, because you can get, in an instant, you could get suspended or something could happen. Your listings could get frozen, and then you're kind of stuck with that. So I know that some people want an easy answer there, but it's kind of hard to, sometimes you just kind of have to let it, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and so some of that stuff, just keep that in mind. But there are other things, like Jenny's talked about, there are other alternative ways that you can come up with some of that extra stuff. Just a lot of different ways that you could do that is low cost or no cost stuff that would be a good way to help build more capital.
One really great thing is, guys, you have access to incredible training, and most people don't have a clue about any of this. And if you can get if you have your Amazon account set up and you have access to this training, then you're set up to partner with other people and to sell stuff for them. And that's how I got started. Honestly, we had no money. And I was finding some things at garage sales and flipping them, but mostly I was selling stuff from around our house. And I reached out to a woman who had an ad. It was on eBay. It was way before Amazon FBA. And, she was a power seller. She didn't want to do all the listings and all of that. So she trained me to do it. We split the profits 50-50. It was a lifesaver for us. I had 2 little kids, didn't want to go back to work. And you know, that was a huge part of launching my business. And so there are people, you know, stuff, and you have access to incredible content that you really can do anything. So you don't have to know it all right now. You know enough to be able to partner with other people and find people who maybe have stuff they want to sell, but don't either have the time or don't have the clue how they, you know, how to do it. And you can go in there and help and split profits.
All right, so Honey about replens. This person has spent hours browsing the shelves of Walmarts and Targets, but finds that most things they're not eligible to sell in that category. So talk about some of the, it just comes down to restrictions for new sellers.
Yeah. Go, especially when you're starting out. I mean, you can go and get all these restrictions lifted, pay to get wholesale accounts set up and all this. Honestly, I just started with what I was able to sell and then grew from that. So go to the areas, home and kitchen has very few restrictions. If they are, they're just brand restrictions. In my experience, most sports and outdoors things don't have very many restrictions. Pet items, not pet food, but other pet items don't have a lot of restrictions. Lawn and garden is a good category that's pretty open too. So try to focus on the things that you can sell. Go to, you know, the non-flashy things. The, you know, toys are not gated as a general category, but there are a lot of brand restrictions. So if you go to toys, you're going to look for like the really boring generic kind of stuff, and then you could sell that as well. So really that goes for anything that you're looking for. Try to avoid the big brand names when you're starting out. Amazon just wants to make sure that you're a legitimate seller, that you're going to send in what you say you're going to send in, that you're going to send in good stuff, the right stuff, nothing counterfeit, nothing whatever. So once you can prove that to them, then you'll be able to see some of the auto approvals. Okay, you've sold here enough stuff for long enough that we feel like you're an okay seller, so we're going to let you sell more of these things. So that's really what it's about. It's really to protect buyers and honestly sellers, because we don't want people getting junk stuff either. Then nobody shop on Amazon. So it's a good thing. It's just a little bit of something to work around as a new seller.
Okay, Jenny, you did a course with Lisa about bundling. So this next question is about this person's having issues with UPCs, and bundling is the answer, just a GTI and exemption.
Yeah, that's what I would do. And you can try, it seems like this works for some people, not for everybody, but putting generic for your brand when you're using a UPC. And then when you do the product, you put generic and leave the product ID blank. That seems to work to get around if you're using a UPC. But I think that going the other route is way better.
All right.
Easier. And Amazon's probably moving more that direction.
All right. 4 minutes. I have some candy and cookies that will expire the end of August. Can I sell them merchant fulfilled, or is it too late? Yep, too late. I'll give you my address. You can just send it to me. I don't know. Anyways, what are the
chocolate too? Chocolate's meltable, so you can just send that to me.
Send the chocolate.
It's cold in Oregon.
I remember with the FBA, that's like a certain number of weeks out. But what about merchant fulfilled? Do you remember that?
So they don't technically have the same guidelines, but once again, going back to, as a buyer, are you going to be happy with that? If I'm going to buy something and I find out it expires in like 2 weeks, maybe it's something I'll eat right away and that would be fine. But what if it sits in my cabinet for a month and then all of a sudden, wait a minute, I pull it out. This is disgusting. You're not going to be happy. So think of yourself as a buyer. I probably wouldn't. Now, isn't it eBay? There's somebody who's saying you can send some expired things. And as long as you are clear, this is when it expires,
say what it is, yeah.
People will buy it, even if it's already expired. That's eBay. Do not do that on Amazon.
Right.
But yeah, so
well,
that might be another option.
The expiration, it's a law that they have to, they have to put an expiration on there. And a lot of things don't actually expire, or it says a sell by date or something. And so, yeah, Amazon's pretty strict, but eBay, you could even probably do Facebook Marketplace.
Yeah, totally. Or send it to me. All right.
Donate it to a good cause.
I'll give it to my brother and sister-in-law run an orphanage in Guatemala.
There you go. Candy and cookies.
All right, so my business is ground to a halt. I guess I let it. Unable to find any inspiration to continue. What would be a step to restart? Man, we could have a whole webinar about that. Essentially, just take action. I find that there's days I wake up like, gosh, I don't want to do this at all. Once I start taking action, moving, then like, oh, you get into momentum and you just start, and it just happens. You get that next sale again, something like that can keep you going. Comes back down to your why. Why are you doing this business in the first place? Why are you even on this webinar? Obviously there's a reason you signed up for the PAC course. Is it to quit your job, to give yourself some time freedom? Those are the things that would motivate me. What do you got? You were about to say something, Jenny.
I was just saying community, be involved in the community of people that are doing this that are an encouragement. The the Facebook group is amazing for that. And it's easy to just lurk, but get involved. You'll start making relationships, and that's a huge motivator as well. There's something else you had said that made me think, but I forgot. So go ahead, honey. Do you have anything to add?
I was just going to say, being a part of a community is key for me. I don't think I'd still be doing this if I hadn't talked to anybody and met anybody. I'd be like, okay, like the days you don't feel like it, you have other people that understand, that have been there too, that know, okay, yeah, you know what? I felt like that last week. I totally was like done and I just didn't want to do it anymore. That's with anything you do. You're just going to have some days that are like that. I absolutely love what I do, but yeah, having a community for that, and then remembering, exactly. I literally would have said the same things you guys said, remembering why you're doing it. That's what's going to keep you motivated. If you have a reason to not let it just kind of whatever, if you have something that motivates you enough to keep doing it, has to be
your wife might be saying,
reason.
Get up off your butt and go to work. That would be my
I've got one more, and it's kind of like working out. I hate working out. I love sports and stuff like that, but I hate working out just to work out. But here's the thing, the best rule or whatever idea ever was, okay, just say mentally, I'm just going to do this for 5 minutes. You start working out for 5 minutes, it's like, okay, I could do 10, and so do the same thing. Say, you know what, I don't really want to do this. I'm not motivated, but I'm just going to do this for 15 minutes today, or a half hour or an hour, whatever it is. And just do that for the discipline, and having community around you will help keep you accountable, but that can be helpful as well.
Cool. Jenny and you need to be on the other call. But guys, another thing to say is just go help somebody else. When I'm ever down, I feel down about my business. If I get on a call with somebody else and help somebody else out with their business, or even something unrelated to Amazon, I feel good, and it puts me in a right mood. So guys, if you did not get your question answered, don't wait till next month. Post in the MST group. We will answer it there. We'll find people that'll answer it. So thank you so much for being on with us. Honey, thanks for jumping on with Jenny and I, and we'll see you guys next month.
Yep. See you guys.
All right. Bye.